Many people have probably seen all on social media the 25 push-ups or 25 days challenge for PTSD awareness. So I've been trying to avoid it. I finally got tagged. Thanks a lot, Edmund Yoon. Someone else may have tagged me, I don't know. Sometimes I don't catch it all. But what I decided to do, and not to knock those that have done it, I'm just going to try something different. And we all know a challenge, 25 push-ups isn't a challenge anyway, but 20 push-ups works your muscles, the bug muscles we can see, but there's a muscle that we don't focus on a lot, which is the brain. And I've done a lot of research and study, especially since my graduate degree is in education, and I focused a lot on the effects of aging and the brain and how your cognitive capacity and critical thinking and all those skills will deteriorate if you do not continue to exercise it. So I'm going to kind of decide, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to provide the next 25 days, 25 tips that you can be like, those are dumb, or hey, that does make sense, and you can apply it or share it with somebody. And I really hope you do apply, because I think some of these will work, because I'm applying them right now in my life. Okay, so 25 tips. I'm going to start right now. The first one is applying cognitive behavioral therapy as a tool to assist with PTSD and suicide prevention. And like I said, I'm no expert, but I understand cognitive behavioral therapy because I have been using it and applying it for about 5 years now. And when I apply it effectively and actually do it like I should, it really works. So, and about a month ago too, I read a couple articles on the application of cognitive behavioral therapy in aiding in suicide prevention. And so some good stuff I read. So I know it's a practice that is being used to help with suicide. So first, let me talk about what cognitive behavioral therapy is. So what it is, it's a way that it's a tool that you use to challenge your emotions and behaviors. So there's a lot of cognitive distortions is what they call them. Cognitive distortions are thoughts and ideas that pop in our head that they aren't true, but our mind convinces us that they are true. And so CBT allows us to help us understand that they're not true by going through a thought pattern process. Some of these cognitive distortions, there's these emotional reasoning, which we see a lot today, especially with what's going on in the news with all the riots and stuff like that. So think of this right now. So what's the first thing that popped in your head when you saw a white cop kneeling down on a African-American man? So if your bias is highly pro-cop and you're white, and especially you're gun-toting redneck, which I am a gun-toting redneck white, lots of cops in the family, but I applied cognitive behavioral therapy. So, but your bias jumps to the conclusion, oh, he's definitely a criminal, he deserved it. But if you challenge your thoughts, you go, well, let me look at the situation. Let me really understand it. Let me totally ignore everything that the biased media is using through their agenda setting tactics to convince me. And think of that initial thoughts, think about them, break it down, and add some reasoning to what you're actually seeing. So cognitive distortion, it's the emotional reasoning that pops in your head. There's also different distortions where, judging others. You see someone's actions and you begin to jump to conclusions of why they did that. Why is someone ignoring me? Why didn't they talk back? Why didn't they answer me? Well, maybe they're deaf. Maybe they have hearing loss, artillery guy or something. There's really challenge the reason why that is happening. And so that is what cognitive behavioral therapy is. So interesting is that you and only you, me, everyone around us, we are the only ones that are responsible for our choices, our behaviors, and the words that come out of our mouth. It's up to us to make the right choice. You can't say, she made me do it, he made me do it. No, they might have influenced you and you made the choice to do it. We can choose how we're going to behave, and cognitive behavioral therapy will make sure that we make the right choices. And I read an article, it talks about how this will help with suicide. I mean, you'll become a happier person. I know it because like I was saying, I've been using it for about past 5 years. And the way I started using it, I had some bad bruxism. I was grinding my teeth. I went in to see the doctor, and they're like, okay, you got a behavioral problem. And I'm like, I'm not going to go see behavioral therapy. Only crazy people. Hey, I'm going to lose my security clearance. I'm not going to go see behavioral therapy. Anyway, I went. They peeled back the layers. They started doing some research, and therapists were pretty good. And it comes to find out that I had some level of anxiety, which stemmed from me focusing and worrying on things that I would see around me. I would see someone not put their shopping cart away. I'd get mad at that and focus on that, and that focus and frustration was causing anxiety. I would, some of us, like body image, it's like, are my muscles big enough? Do I look fat? Are people judging me? Things like that would also cause a little stress. So I learned how to apply cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's helped a lot. I use it a lot on everything I see on social media, everything around me. It works. And so you understand the way that the cognitive behavioral therapy works. The initial thought enters your head, and it's hard to do because thoughts, actions, everything comes in quick. But once you learn to do it, it becomes second nature. The thought enters your head, you challenge the thought, you think of positive results of the thought, and then you realize that the initial reality that you perceived is not so. I can give an example of how I applied this in my life today. So this month, the primary zone for Lieutenant Colonel came out. I wasn't on the list. It was kind of a shock. A lot of people were shocked. It was a rough year. And so my initial thought came to my mind, you're frustrated and you start to think, dude, am I really that bad? Your self-efficacy drops greatly, and you're thinking, I must really be that bad. That's the initial thought. So how did I challenge that thought? I start to think, well, let me think back about everything I did as an S3 and XO. Let me think about how we took care of the soldiers. We ensured their pillars of readiness were straight. We did excellent training. I think back in the meetings when I compared myself to the other battalions on how, our stats, our numbers, everything that's always being looked at, we're doing well. And I think about things of like, our battalion being the first to fire a Miklik in 20 years, things that make the brigade shine, all that stuff. And I began to think about the system, how it fails, about how, being in a world of infantrymen with infantry brigade commanders who lack control of understanding their bias and allow their bias to control the behaviors, resulting in them inaccurately senior rating people, things like that. A lot of stuff and then next thing I began to think is, okay, this is now going to force me to retire early. My wife and my family are going to be a lot happy. I'm now going to be leaving an organization who professes to support the family, but through their actions they do not, to an organization that hopefully supports the family, and then looking at growth. How can I grow from this opportunity? So I take one event, not getting promoted. I began to tear apart my initial thoughts, find growth, and second guess those thoughts and find out ways to be positive. And so applying cognitive behavioral therapy in all you do in your life, everything you do will work. And if you want, you can message me on the side if you have any questions, and I'll give you lots of information. I have a cognitive behavioral therapy. Do some research. I've got a lot of articles that I've been saving up as well. But apply cognitive behavioral therapy. I think everyone needs to apply this now. I mean, apply it on everything you do. I mean, everyone's got stress. Everyone would be happier. Social media would be better. Life would be better if you apply cognitive behavioral therapy. You're not going to go and respond and cause contention with somebody on Facebook if you apply cognitive behavioral therapy and think before you begin to respond. Life would be so much easier. And so that's my last tip: cognitive behavioral therapy. Look it up. Ask me if you want more information. I know it will help with PTSD and prevent with suicide.